All right, Anthony Trucks, welcome to the podcast, brother. I've been looking forward to this one, and thank you for joining us today.
Hey man, no, thank you for having me, bro. I feel special. I get to come hang out with my man Stu. What to do, Stu?
Absolutely, my man. What it do? And so, as we dive in here, I mean, your story, we're gonna have a fun conversation. But I was just curious if you could start off by just giving people a little bit of background, like, what was life like for little Anthony as you were growing up?
Yeah. Little Anthony, man. Little Anthony had it tough, bro. So I was given away at 3, grew up in a foster care system, and then I bounced around for a lot of years, like 3 years in different houses, really heinous situations, bad people, and then ended up at 6 years old in my family. That's my family now. Unique thing,
Nice.
only black person, all white family. Was with them for 8 years as a foster kid before being adopted at 14. So at 14, I finally knew like I get to go to bed in the same house. Like it wasn't normal for me. Also got to play football. Also, my mom got diagnosed with MS, so I went into the world trying to try this new thing I was horrible at, and then just a lot like a tornado of crazy in that moment in time. And then gave up on football. My mom was sick. I checked it up. I was like, I'm a foster kid. Life isn't supposed to be great for me. What am I thinking? Trying to have dreams. And somehow, some girl in a classroom said this one weird statement that really unsettled me. And it made me think like I gotta be able to do more than it's expected of a foster kid. I gotta beat these odds, right? And
Yeah.
so I went in this tear to find a way to be great. And at
What'd she
15 years
say?
old, she said, she didn't know I was listening. She said it's somebody else.
Yeah.
I was like passed out in class. She goes, "Well, the reason I'm so bad is because I'm in foster care." And it's one of those things where it's not a big at face value, like it's like, no big deal. But really what it is, I got to hear my excuse out loud. And when you hear your excuse and you're like, ugh, that's not, well, I don't know about it's gross, right? That's
Damn.
how I felt. I was like, that's
Yeah.
a bad excuse, and it made me want to be better. And so I knew to be better. It was football. I was like, I'm gonna try this thing of football again because I'd given up. And dude, I put the work in. I did some things that over time have come to realize were the catalyst for my humanity now. And they allowed me to get a college scholarship, play in the NFL, all that kind of
Yeah.
crazy stuff. But man, that was
What were
yeah,
some of
the
those
childhood was
things?
tough.
Would you that those sound like important things? What were
Oh
some of
yeah.
those things?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. In the world of what I do, I work in identity as a human. I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, but identity is kind of my area, right?
Yeah.
And what I found is like that's something that doesn't happen accidentally. It does, but in a sense of like teachers, preachers, coaches, the news, movies, they fuel most kids' development of who they are. And social media is the exact same thing. And then we go off into the world with that, having no idea it's programmed in the background. It's
Right.
kind of like this software running in the background that's always just seeing the world a certain way. It's our filter. And for me, what I found was like in those moments, my filter prior to her statement were like, oh, you suck. You're a foster kid. You're not supposed to do very much. You're the only black kid, non-diverse. What do you know? And I did the stuff that changed it. Here's what I did. I became what I call a prolific executor, and it was accidental.
Mm,
And there's a way
love
that I
that.
did it. And what I did is I got to this point where like I had these ideas, and we all got ideas, and I just started doing them. Like, and I wish it was something where I could make it way more special and magical, but I just
Yeah.
start doing stuff. Now, at that age, I didn't have much responsibility. There weren't a bunch of dynamics. It was like football. It was a simple goal, right? Go work out, go in the playbook, go run routes, catch footballs. But even something that's that simple for people, they usually struggle with. But I learned this thing, and here's the crazy cool part: when I talk about identity, when you have an identity, you'll protect that thing. Like if I am the dad, I'll protect it with my actions, right? Well, I wanted to be a football player. I had to protect it with my actions. It's
Yeah.
harder when you don't identify. So how do you get
Yeah.
to the point of identifying? Well, you earn it. So what I did, Stu, was I literally went to the point of like every day I caught a football 500 times a day. I ran routes, I lifted weights. And what I tell people is what you create creates you. The creation process is arduous, it's long, it's ugly. And I
Yep.
done this creation process and I created a stronger body. It was faster, could catch right. But what I really did do was I created this guy inside. I created this
Yeah.
identity that would not let me back
Right.
down from anybody. You aren't taking the football. I'm scoring a touchdown. I'm tackling you. How dare you think you can tackle me right now? What are you out of your damn mind? And when you have this mentality, it turns into something that's a different kind of animal. And it's not just like an on the field thing. It transfers into, I know how to work for my grade in class. No teacher, I wrote a damn good paper. I deserve an A. No, I cleaned this up. Pay me for my job. I just whatever it may be. Or I've got to the point of like I've done the work. I deserve this, right? And it's not a sense of deserving that's outside of norm. It's like if I'm a boxer
Yeah.
And I put years in boxing, and you came in, I kind of box. I'm trying it out. Well, how dare you think you're gonna beat me in that ring, bro? I will die before I let you walk out of here because I'm a boxer. It's who
Yeah.
I am. And that was the big piece that added to my life years ago that I didn't know was such a huge asset to me. Now, life happens. I'm up and down. I
Right.
mean, I've lost a lot in my later age. It's hard to maintain, right? Maintenance is a difficult thing.
Yeah.
But that key piece, man, is the major part of who I am now.
Yeah. I think one of the big things you say in there too is like this expectancy, where it's
Yeah.
like, when we go throughout life, you like manifestation, right? Thoughts become things. It's like if you're going throughout your life and saying, I'm going to put in the work, but it may not ever actually translate into like this result that I want.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen in your life. And that even comes back to your actions. Like you may get really, really close to achieving your goal, but then in the back of your head, you go, well, I don't know if I can actually, and then boom, you pull back a little bit. But if you
Yeah, you
have
do.
this belief system that you've created that goes, no, I expect to get these results. As
Yeah,
soon as you get closer, you go, all right, it's time to reap.
it is.
Right? It's,
And you have to,
I've yeah,
and it happens in the moments.
in the little
It doesn't,
moments.
yeah, exactly. It's like I tell people nothing matters till the moment that it matters. I mean, you can sit here all day long and talk about what we're going to do, but it don't matter until that moment shows up. What do you do in that moment? And it usually doesn't, we don't consciously think about it. Like when a football's in the air and it's like not thrown to me, it's a receiver, it's on the receiver.
Yeah,
I'm not in my head processing, should I catch it? Is it for me? I've done the reps
you have
and
to.
all the work. That ball's for me right now. My
Yeah,
son runs track. And I told him, like, what you're doing, right? He's lifting weights, he's getting all this stuff. And I'm like, look, here's what I'm telling you. This is going to show up for you in the last 50 meters of a 400-meter race. Your brain's not even going to consciously process it. There's going to be a party that says, there is no way this dude beats me. Your
yeah.
brain will unconsciously do it because of as who you are. That's what we're looking for in every area of life.
Yeah, it's like you hear like Michael Phelps when he was winning however many gold medals he won in the Olympics, he won by
28.
a hundredth of a second.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's comes back to your identity that you're like, I will not lose. This is happening. I expect the result. And like you said, when you expect that, your unconscious mind will take over and it'll
Yeah.
produce that result.
It always does. And it only happens when you've become a prolific executor in that direction for a long period of time. It's got to be something where you in your gut know that it's yours. Because
Yeah.
if any part of this thing between your two ears isn't in line with that, if it's not your identity, you fall short.
Yeah. Yeah. Two things I kind of want to touch on here. One of the things, one of my mentors, also another Anthony Robbins,
Hey
um,
yo.
AO, right? One thing that he says is like the strongest force we have as a human being is living in alignment with who we believe we are.
Yeah, I
And it's
agree.
like it
Yeah.
comes, you know what I mean? It's like you build this identity. Your biggest goal in life is to prove to yourself that that's who you are. So if you have this identity, this story of, maybe I can't get it versus I expect it, you're gonna do everything in your power to live aligned with that. And so one thing I want to touch on as well, and I want to hear if we can start to unpack what created this part of your identity is like I've gone throughout my life and similar to you, I am the biggest believer in execution is one of the best things you can have in your life because so
Yeah.
many people go throughout life and I think it could be like this, it might be like that, and all these things, but the reality is like you don't fully understand something or what it's going to be like or what your experience is going to be like until you actually try that. And
True.
like a simple example I give people, it's kind of stupid, but it's like the first time you found out you like pizza, you didn't look at it, smell it, your friend said pizza was good and you're like, I like pizza,
Mhm.
right? It's like you took the action, you picked up the
Yeah.
slice, you tried it, and you're like, damn, pizza's delicious. I'm gonna eat pizza the rest of my life. So like
Yeah.
what I want to hear from you is like, how did you become this person that says execution is part of my identity? Because I think if people can if people can add that to their identity,
Mhm.
just that alone from this conversation, their entire life will change.
Yeah, there's two things. One is you can't teach experience, right? I can sit here all day long and try to talk words that'll make sense. And the thing is, it's like, for example, if I want to coach you on how to swing a baseball bat, I can go get a baseball bat and I can have you look at it and say, you're going to put your feet here, twist, right, all that stuff. And I can tell you, you got to turn your hips, all that. You're going to get the bat and still swing and miss. It's just going to happen because you
Yeah.
haven't taken the actions. However, if you get up and swing a bat, and then I come back and say, okay, grip the bat here, put your feet here. Here's why you go, oh, okay, I feel it different. And now, oh, now I get it, right? The actions of doing that thing, they led to it. The experience is the piece that is so much that words cannot describe, right? So if someone's trying to buy all the information solutions, we are in an epidemic of self-esteem. People buy stuff, it goes in a shelf, they feel good about it. They don't put it into action, so they don't really get it, right? So then they don't really understand the value. It's the people who are like, dude, I got this and did it. Holy crap, it's amazing. Well, that's the difference, right? So I can't
Yeah.
teach you that. Other part of it is action ends suffering, right? We
Mhm.
all have something we're suffering in some capacity. Now, I don't mean like, deathly suffering all the time. For some people, they're suffering in a job that's paying the bills, but they're not excited. They took a salary, which is pretty much the world's way of giving you an amount of money to give up on your dreams. There's people that seriously get to a point of like, I'm suffering and I'm hungry. The action is going to be eating food, right? But the problem is a lot of people don't grasp that if you don't take an action, you don't end your suffering. And the action that you have to take to end it isn't the one you want to take typically.
Mhm.
It's the one you have to take. The one that's outside comfort zone, outside that difficult space. It doesn't make sense. It's illogical to most people, but that ends the true suffering, right? So when I was looking at my life as in any capacity, whether I was in, I wanted to be the starter at Oregon, right? The actions of learning the playbook, getting to the weight room, being around, practicing hard, those actions created the life I want, not me hoping I did it because I felt good doing the work behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Like it's part of it, but the actions that you take that are the ones that make you want to crap your pants, those are the ones that end you.
Yeah. I was listening to this interview with Oprah, and I think it was with I don't remember who it was with, but this woman, she starts to go, she goes, if there's not a little bit of pee dripping down your leg,
Yeah.
you're not dreaming big enough, right? If you're
True,
not pissing
man.
your pants a little bit or crapping your pants a little bit because you're so scared, are you
Yeah.
really taking the action that's going to grow you? And so
That's part of what it is. Yeah.
100%. And so I guess one thing I would be curious is like you mentioned it and touched on it a little earlier, your biological mom gave you away at 3 and you went through the
Yeah.
foster care system, which just doing some research on you, I didn't realize how crazy of a system that is. It's like every week you're going to different houses, you just have no idea what tomorrow's going to look like.
Yeah.
And then, eventually at 14 you get adopted and you have your family now, that became like that family that really was your family that it felt
My
like
family
eventually.
family, man. Yeah.
And I'm curious for you, like, what would you say is one of the biggest lessons if you could go back and look over those like first 14 years of your life?
Mhm.
One of the biggest lessons you took from all of that different, just like up, down, left, right, here, there, like from all that is kind of
Yeah.
like brought you to part of who you are today.
There's one quote that I heard years ago, and it's a whole lot. That's the thing in life at that level was a whole lot. And the statement that I heard, the quote I think it was a smooth sea makes not a skilled sailor. Yeah. And you got that nautical thing in the background kind of, right? So like, sailors
Yeah.
use those compasses, right? The idea is, I mean, for a lot of years, I hated the fact that I'd gone through that. I hated what people did to me. I was angry for obvious reasons. I was pissed at my mom, pissed at, all the stuff that happened to bad people, all these things. And then I had someone ask me a question even recently. I get it almost all the time, like, why aren't you so angry? And I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, now in my life, I don't like what happened to me. I'm not like, yeah, give me more. I'm not like that. But I appreciate every bit of it. There is such a depth of appreciation. So what I learned about those times was for me, like I am at a level where I look at life and the things I go
Yeah.
do, and most people that want to be at a level of what I'm doing in some way, shape, or form, they look at it and go, man, that's difficult. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It is. And it is hard. Me and yourself, you get it. In our world, there's always something going on and the world goes crazy. And when I look at the ship and see, like my ship's been out to crazy storms. It has countless storms, dude. And so nowadays, when a storm hits, where it's harder when you're older. When you're at our age, like you get older, like you get more responsibilities when something goes wrong. Like I can't
Yeah.
shut down. I got other people depending upon me, right? And so the fact that I had that crazy childhood gave me the strength to handle it now. So when everything goes crazy and some people want to get under the deck and buckle up and like they're freaking out, crying, hoping the ship doesn't capsize, bro, I'm on the deck of the ship sipping tea, screaming at the rain. It's a whole, it's so, and this only came from those years. I wouldn't have this
Yeah.
level of, I want to call it confidence, but it's more of like it's more than confidence, man. Like it's a knowing. It's a
Yeah.
knowing. It's like I know that this is going to be hard, but I know I'm strong. I'm harder than this problem. And so let's
Mhm.
go to work, man. It's almost fun. It's almost enjoyable because I'm like, bro, I made it through this life so far, bro. What you got next? It's a
Yeah.
different kind
Yeah.
of. So I go into it with a little more joy, and that's kind of the biggest lesson I think overall as a human core piece of me that I learned from those years.
Yeah. It's like you wouldn't be the man you are today
That didn't happen.
if you had a different situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simplification of it. I hate that, like that's as simple as it is, but it is that simple, you know. Like, because
Yeah.
when you hear that, people don't get like, there's a lot missing in that statement, and it sucks because it's like it's the truth, but man, like at the end of the day, like those things that do all of us harm. Like for example, if you got all these big muscles, wouldn't you appreciate the weight room more because you went to it every day, you lifted when it was heavy, like you
Yeah.
love those days with the your hands are sweaty and they're painful, like you those days you feel good, right? I don't want to bypass those and just have muscles. Sounds good, but then I wouldn't know how to keep them. I wouldn't know what it took to
Right.
get them in the first. So I want those workout days. I want to remember those days. Same thing for life.
Yeah. I love it. So got to have the appreciation and to kind of go on that theme. So like you get your new family, eventually you go play for the Ducks, you go play for
Yeah.
Oregon, right? You're
Oh,
crushing
yep.
it. Get picked up by the Bucks, which shout out to the Bucks most recently.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm curious, like, just what was that moment like for you? Because you'd been through so much, and you get picked up by the Tampa Buccaneers. Like, just I'm just purely curious. Walk us through what was that moment like for
Yeah,
you?
it's a different world, man. Funny thing is, while in the NFL, I still had those thoughts of like, I don't think I belong here.
Hmm.
Like, am I good enough for this? Like, these are common. It's weird. I think people think that all people that are successful all have this strong, powerful, amazing minds at all times. Like, bro, I'm human, dude. I'm like, we're in front of this sheet right here. We're gonna film some
Yeah.
stuff. And I do this stuff now, and I'm like, is anybody gonna like it? I hope they do.
Yeah.
It's the nature of the beast. It's just anytime you
It
shoot for
is.
something. So for me in those times, yeah, I left college and I was proud. I was great, man. I'm going to the NFL. But even then, when I'm there, it's like every play, this is the highest level in the world. The human race, this is the highest level for this sport. And I'm over here with a helmet and jersey on, one of a few, There's only what 0.002% of college
Yeah.
athletes get a chance to
Crazy.
play at that level. So like I'm in this weird, kind of group of humans. Like it's awesome. And this fraternity of football players, like I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure it out. And it was great, like to be able to put the helmet on and go out in that field and know like, bro, I've hit a peak. Like, this is like, you can't go higher than this, like, this is where you've arrived. Not that I've arrived, like, obviously you win
Yeah.
Super Bowls and that kind of thing, but it was damn cool, man. It gives you that sense of like, I'm in a whole new level echelon. And it's like it was a good culmination point. Most
Yeah.
definitely wasn't the end of the story, but definitely a good culmination point.
Yeah. I love it, man. So cool. And so you're in the league for I think you said 3 years you're with the Bucks, right?
I got hurt in my third. I went from the Buccaneers to the Redskins, now Washington football team, and then over to the Steelers. Hurt my shoulder, then go home.
Gotcha. Okay, so you leave now. What's this experience like? Because, I mean, I gotta assume that up to this point, some of the identity is I'm a football player, I'm an athlete,
Some,
and then you leave
sure.
that. I'm no longer an athlete. What the heck does
Yeah.
that look like?
Well, that's all of it, bro. It's some of it. It's all of that guy. Um, Dude, it was tough. Because the thing is, whenever you've given yourself to something and given all your energy to something for so
Yeah,
long
yeah,
and it's ripped from you, bro, like your heart falls out. Right? Whether it's a
rough.
business you've sold or a business that you leave as a job or you get fired or a relationship ends or someone passes away or you send a kid off to college. Now you're not driving around to sports every day. There's a party that dies, man. And so for me, when I came home, I look at it kind of like this: like we're all these fruits of our labor, right? We do these works and we have this fruit of our labor, and the fruit falls off the tree and it lays in the ground, and it's still alive, right? Like I feel okay. Like a piece of fruit can
Yeah,
last. It can get picked up by the farmer, go to the market. I can buy it from the store, take it to my house, but eventually that apple rots, and that's how you feel inside. I feel rotten. Who am I? I'm horrible without this thing. And then what happens is the rest of everything dies. Like, and I didn't realize it for years. And I went through like
mm,
for me, football was my fruit, right? So I came home and I had two more kids. So I had one kid in college, two more outside. And so same woman, and we married high school sweethearts. But I come home and then like I didn't have a sense of self. The fruit fell off the tree. And so like all of my relationship fell apart. My wife ended up stepping out on me. Marriage falls apart. I'm not a present father. My family's taken apart. My business is tanking. I'm out of shape. I don't have any sense of self. And
yeah,
for years, I was in a fog, divorce, living in a 500 square foot studio apartment with my kids on an air mattress. Dude, like it was horrible. I was living behind the house of one of my staff's girlfriend, like my staff's girlfriend behind her house. So, like such a weird
Yeah.
dynamic, man. And
Yeah.
just in a weird, funky place. And what ends up happening is I get like the moment my mom passes away and I take a look at my life because she'd been diagnosed with MS. And I was like, Dad, I'm not living right. I got to figure this thing out. And I promised. I made two promises to her. I said, one, I'm going to figure this thing of life out again. And then two, I'm going to do it for other people. Like I'm going to find a way to give it on. And I was still in the gym at this time. I was like, I'm going to get them in good shape, help them lose weight. This whole world of coaching, speaking didn't exist in my brain at the time. But
Yeah.
here's what I realized about the tree. Well, that piece of fruit, I thought I was the fruit and I thought I had died, right? The reality was we have never, ever been the fruit. We've always been the tree.
Hmm.
And when I
Hmm.
went back and realized what had
Damn.
gone on, when you are the fruit and only focus on the fruit, you lose sight of how to give nutrients to the tree, put it in the right
Damn.
soil, take care of the fruit so all the fruit dies. So lo and behold, football falls off. So yeah, the fruit of my relationship fails, the fruit of my parenting, the fruit of my health, the fruit of the business, it all dies because I'm not pruning the branches, not taking care of it.
You're
And
looking
so
at
what
the
I
dead
did is I kind
apple.
of yeah, I went back and said, how can I take care of this tree? And then the cool part is when you take care of the tree, you produce more and more abundant fruit. So like
Exactly.
I figured out like, all right, I got to work on some things. This is the work I do in the world now. I call it the shift method. And we go back and it's
Yeah.
like shifting an identity level, who you are. But it's the trees, taking care of this damn tree. And when you do, man, I got my marriage back after 3 years of divorce. A lot of craziness in that whole conversation there. My kids have a present father. My business is run smooth. I'm in good shape. Like I have things intact. And at this point, like I love the life I've been able to create. Not in the sense of anybody else's life is less than, but I love my life, right? And so I made good on promise too. And then I looked back at my life and said, how did I do that? And I said, oh, okay, well, this is how I was
Right.
able to make the money that gave me the freedom, that gave me the ability to have time with my kids. Here's the way my relationship works well. Like, here's what I figured out. I am now going to make good on promise too and give this back to the world
Yeah.
this way. Right. So I get on podcasts and I speak and I talk and I share. But it's such a beautiful kind of synergy because the cool thing is the tree is healthy. It's in good soil. It has good environment. I give it nutrients. But I do something that I love that
Yeah.
people love that I do. And that's a special place.
That's the place.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So what does it look like then? Like, and that analogy is like beautiful. Again, another just nugget. You take that and run with that in your life, your whole life will change. And so you now realize I'm not the fruit, I'm the tree. Such a
Mhm.
beautiful distinction. What does that process look like of now let me take care of this tree? Because I know in reading it, and just studying through some of your life, you had to go through, I don't know if we call them black holes or just like
Yeah.
some deep stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does that process look like of I'm going to start taking care of this tree?
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is what the method kind of like created turns its head on and just kind of looks at it. So we focus on our work, right? It's not here's the thing, it's not always dialed into the emotional piece, but it is the action, right? We talk about action and suffering. Like this is we look at all these ideas of life, what goes on. And like, so for example, we've talked about the metaphor of it. Like I got to take a look at the roots and fruits of my life.
Mm,
What are the roots? The faith, family, health, friends, and emotions that I have in life. Where am I at? Because my roots are strong and they're in the right environment, the right people, the right, schools, the right masterminds, whatever it may be, then I have the ability to produce great nutrients and have the roots be deep. So if the storms of life come, I don't get upended and thrown across, right? Because storms of life will happen. Deep roots, stable roots, you're good. But the cool thing is it produces fruits, career, education, financial, base, my escape, ability to enjoy life, and then also my
yeah.
purpose here. I can live in my purpose. And so what happens is what we do is we go in and kind of dig up all apart and say, what are all these for you? Like, what are the things that matter to you? What are your roots? What are your fruits? What's got to be base? How is it in the right environment? We kind of do a whole process, which is it's a
Yeah.
really deep and intricate one, but it's so
Right.
powerful. And then what I do is I say, okay, great, we figured this all out. Here's the big plan. And then a lot of people stop there. It sucks. Like you stop there. People just they'll get all this great planning and they'll feel good because they planned.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, like all this planning. And then here's the problem is then they don't take the action and they feel even worse than before the planning. So what we do is we
Yeah.
go in and say, okay, great. All this stuff's done. Let's take this, all we're thinking we've done and put it into a process, right? An executable system you do every
Yeah.
day. This is the middle stage of the shift method we do.
Right.
And we dial it into 5 things you do each day. And when these 5 things are done with the pre-planning in place, all of a sudden, life becomes this amazing rhythm. It takes time, it's action though, but it's consistent, prolific execution. When we're done with people, They execute at a level that doesn't make sense to the people that know them anymore. How did you do all this? Who are you now? Like, that's what I want them to say. I want you to
Yeah.
shift to that new person. Like, bro, who are you? Like, hey,
Yeah.
I get things done, right? But it happens through the daily execution of a plan that's the proper one for your life. Because it's the other piece of it. A caveat is most people go and say, I like so and so's habits and I like what they did, and I'm gonna go do what they do. But they're doing stuff that fits for them. You might have vastly different things that your life needs you to do. And if you don't do those, you continue to keep having the same problems, right? You don't deal with
Right.
the root issue, you keep having the same symptoms, just different in different places. And so when you do the work for you and you put it into place, it generally becomes this thing where you will one day, like I do now, look back at your life and go, who was that guy?
Yeah.
What the hell was he doing? Like, I can't get back into his head sometimes.
Yeah. Would you be open to sharing two or three or a couple of these? Like, what are these five things that people
Oh yeah,
execute
I'll share them
to their
all.
daily life? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll share all of them, man. And the thing is, let's take it this way. It's one of these things where I'm gonna tell it to you, and people are gonna hear this and go, "Oh, I got this." And it's like, yeah, you'll have a piece of it, but there's so much depth to each piece of these that if you don't do the pre-work properly, it's gonna
Right.
fall on its face. And we do this obviously. So this is what if you want more information, come find us. But if
Yeah.
not, at face value, there will be some help. I promise you that. People can go, okay, I can try this. So if it's shift, SHIFT, simple.
Nice.
It's designed this way. And what I tell people is like the first one's S, start right. Start your day right. We have long routines and short routines for the mornings. There's a reason you do it though. The brain is it's a preemptive predictive tool. It wants to know what's going on. And if you don't give it the sense of control, it'll feel out of whack. So a lot of people start their day just feeling like a leaf in the wind.
Right.
And then nothing gets, I'm gonna do this today. And then I don't do it. I feel like crap because I just didn't start the day right, right? I didn't get things moving properly or organized. And so there's 6 pieces of that we actually utilize and put in place, but
Love
it
it.
also should be individualized. Don't borrow my morning routine. It works for me. It ain't gonna work for you.
Yeah.
I'm dead
Yeah.
serious too. What I do, people are like, I don't like it. Good. Find your own, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But do one. The second part's the H, and it's a healthy choice. For me, I'm real big on I want you to have this sense of personal pride. I want you to create and create you. Right? I want you to feel good about yourself. A quick path to that is health. Feel if you do something that makes you feel good, you look in the mirror, you're like, damn, I got less fat in my belly. Hell yeah, I feel good, right?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
there's health, physical health, but also mental health, right? So it could be like taking a breather, meditating, taking a walk. Like there should be an action you take that produces a better, healthier you. And it could be simple. Like if you're a person that eats candy bars for lunch, throw an apple in there, right?
Yeah.
Simple, it's a healthy choice. And we do it for 30-day sprints. If you do it for 90 days, all of these, bro, it's a game changer for you. The I is the big one. It's the one that people use to make money, to get progress done, get goals met. It's called your imperative activity. Now, every day, there should be something that you have to do before you go to sleep. Can't go to
Mm.
sleep until this gets done. What a lot of individuals do is, I got this big goal, big dream, big idea. I'm going to do it next Thursday and Friday. I'm going to get it all done. No, you're not. No, you're not. You
Yeah.
say you're going to get it done. You ain't going to get it done then, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to show up Thursday and go, I got all day to do it. And the next thing you know, it's 2 o'clock and you ain't got nothing done, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, as opposed to having it be 2 or 3 big steps, break that bad boy down to like 15 to 30-minute steps. I'm talking take that elephant and chop it into little pieces so you can
Yeah.
then take the bites, right? So we
Love it.
break it all the way apart before we get started. And then we do every day this little thing. This is the imperative act. It's imperative that I complete this so I make progress and build my personal pride. Because when I'm making
Yeah.
progress, I get that dopamine dump. I feel good. I
Yeah.
get things moving, right? And I'm making progress. So when I get to the 30-day mark, if I followed my plan and did it every day, I'm in. And it allows you also not to be a calendar freak. Like I'm a calendar freak. I know everybody
Me
isn't,
too.
like I got to have it dialed in. And I know everybody is not. But if I just give you like, just do this one thing a day, bro, no matter who you are, you get it done. Now, I got people that do
100%.
like 3 imperative activities a day. Totally cool. That's your prerogative, but at least do one.
Right.
The F is to find joy. So the F, SHIF. The finding joy is a big piece because our brains are typically tuned to negativity. Like,
Yeah.
can you take me to the airport tomorrow, Stu? Your brain first goes, why can't I? It's the first thing it does. Why can't I do that? So our brain is tuned this way. So I'm like, well, let's find the joy, right? So there's 3
Yeah.
ways. Find gratitude, which we all know. Be grateful for something, right?
Yeah.
Look at your life. Be a little more intuitive of what's going on. The other 2 are pretty big because they involve having to do a little more work. The second one is finding a silver lining. actively seeking a positive in a negative situation. When you can actively seek something, you will find that something. And so I tell people, go find the silver
Yeah.
lining. Go look at a troublesome situation from your current or past life and go, what's good about this? Right now, if I can't find it, I get the third part, a new perspective. I
Mm.
talk to somebody else who's in joy and go, hey, I'm struggling with this. What would you do? And they give you a new perspective. You go, oh, I never thought of it that way. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I've got joy. If
Love
I
it.
can do that every day, dude, by the end of 90 days, you are this joy seeking and finding machine,
Yeah.
right? And the last part of it is the tree task. We talked about a moment ago, the roots and fruits. We have people go through a process that helps them numerically base these, as well as figure out what's an action I can do to increase the number. And what happens is a lot of people have big ideas for like it's a life experience space. That T is like the tree is like your life experience. And we all have things we want to do. I want to read a book. I want to go take a trip. I want to go and hang out with this person. I want to mend a relationship. Sounds good. You never do it though. The way it's designed is you have these 10 areas you can work on each day. You don't do all 10, but you do one of 10. So after
Mm.
90 days, if you've done one of those 10, you have done 90 different things to increase and improve the physical and experience of your life. And so when you get through a 90-day sprint of doing things where you've started the day right, you've been able to get healthy, you've been able to make progress towards your imperative activity, your goals, you've found joy every day, and you've increased the experience of your life, there is no way you get to the back end and go, I'm the same person.
Yeah.
You've shifted into a completely different
Right.
human who's doing different things and has different success. And it's something where it's hard to put into words. I'm struggling to do it on this piece of paper behind me,
Yeah.
as we do.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, man. When you do that every day, it changes your life.
Yeah. I love it, man. That's beautiful. That's
Simple.
a beautiful, beautiful process and a simple process. And so, I mean, Anthony, so much value here, man. If people want to get more info on you, see where you're at, what you're up to, where's the best place people can go?
Go outside, get a flare gun. It's got to be a purple. No, no, man. Go to Instagram. If you go to Instagram, just get Anthony Trucks at Anthony Trucks. You can find me there. DM me the word shift, so I know you heard me from some podcast or something. And if you're interested in this process, go to yourlifeelevated.com. Seriously, yourlifeelevated.com, and then we can find out more about what we do.
Awesome. Love it, man. And so, one last question I have, and this is very much in alignment with your philosophy in life,
Yeah,
is we want to help people find direction, but it's all through execution, right? You
yeah.
can't just sit on the couch and go, whatever.
Mm-mm.
So, what I would be curious, like, what would you say is one thing someone listening to this can do in the next 24 to 48 hours to start finding direction in their life?
Talk to the person who keeps telling you things that you don't want to hear. There's someone in our lives that we respect, we don't like as much, and they keep telling us things that I don't want to hear. So we kick them out of our life, we avoid them. Sit down with them and do two things. Ask them, hey, what exactly do you see going on in my life that you think is not helpful? And two, what would you do? And then bite your tongue. Don't say anything. Don't refute. Don't rebut. Don't try to justify what you're doing. Just listen. Then walk away. And in 48 hours, revisit the conversation with them and have a discussion when your emotions have declined.
Mm.
But you do that, and you'll find some unique little bubbles to work on.
Do you want to like preempt this conversation by telling the person I want your honest answers?
Oh hell yeah, you do. And we do this. We call them triad talks. We have a whole process through this. It's just the first.
Yeah.
It's the first thing of all we do. And so I tell them like you're gonna call a person, tell them what you're gonna do, but tell them, hey, when I talk to you, I need the real answer, and I need you to realize I am not allowed to respond, to rebut, to refute, to
Mm.
argue. I just have to listen. Now they're not gonna believe you at first. So what happens is when they start talking that they're going to say something, the first couple things they say are paramount because if they say something and you start to refute it, they're done. They give you no more gold. But if they say some
Mm.
things and they check and you let it ride and they go, oh, they're really letting me say this, they'll give
Yeah.
you more and more and more and it'll come flowing out. And that's why I say wait
Yeah.
48 hours because that stuff's going to hurt. It's going to be like, oh, and you're going to have to sit there and write whatever it is and then revisit it once your emotions have died down after 2 days. Then go have the conversation.
Mm. I love that. That's beautiful, man. I've never heard. anybody share that. So that's absolutely beautiful, man. Anthony, it again has been an honor to have you on the podcast, man. Your story is just super cool. Honestly, love diving in through your life and just learning
Thank
more
you.
about you and having this conversation, man. So thanks for joining us today.
Hey, very welcome, man. Appreciate having me on.
Absolutely.